Theme for today's reflection is temptation-free calls. The liturgy of the first Sunday of Lent reminds us that temptation makes free calls to everyone, and they don't respect the peace and privacy of anyone on earth. Our first parents, Adam and Eve, were tempted. Jesus, the Son of God, was tempted in today's gospel. We are tempted by many things and in many different ways. No one is exempt and no one is immune. Very often, the general speaking of temptation-free calls without putting in place spiritual controls, protocols for answering, leads to our being caged by them. A story is told of a merchant in ancient Arabia. It was a very hot day. The merchant, exhausted after traveling, pitched a tent to get some rest. He tied his camel to a post outside the tent, gave it food and water. Then he lay down in the tent to get some rest. As soon as he began to doze off, the camel started to groan because of the hot weather. The animal humbly asked the merchant, "Master, it is hot outside. May I put my head inside the tent?" The merchant thought that it won't take him anything. He figured out that it won't cost him anything. And so he agreed, "Yes, you may." The camel put his head inside. No sooner had the merchant started to sleep, then the camel asked again, "Master, I cannot bear the surging outside. The heat is too much. May I keep my front legs inside too?" The merchant thought that the camel must be tired having walked so hard and walked for a long distance. He knew that if the camel did not properly rest, it could not carry the next day's load. "Yes, you can put in your front legs also," said the master, "but do not disturb my sleep anymore." Once again, the merchant started to fall asleep. This time, however, the camel suddenly spread out its legs, maybe unintentionally, and kicked his half-asleep master out of the tent. The struggle to occupy the shade of the tent continued between the merchant and his camel till dawn. Lent is a special time to examine the generosity that we show to sin, that embodies sin to kick us out of the holy path on which we are meant to be. Like the merchant's magnanimity to the camel, when sinful thoughts enter our minds, sometimes we decide to entertain or accommodate them for a bit. Just a bit begets another bit. Before long, we become trapped in the web of these sins. Later on, such a welcome to sin has altered our lives. The real challenge for us this Lent is to re-examine ourselves and identify the areas, situations, people, or things that make us vulnerable, make us weak, that expose us to falling away from God.